That Weidman-Mousasi fight was so strange too. Like those kind of debacles when they're in New York, where people aren't as experienced, maybe commission isn't experienced. And what was your take on that whole?
That's what I said. I said UFC plus New York equals debacle. That's what I sent to Joe.
Really?
I'm like, what? I mean, you had doctors in there looking at each other, going, I mean, what?
Why did they stop the fight? Do you any?
Well, they thought because originally the ref he should originally be the one to blame because the ref stopped the fight because he originally thought those were illegal knees.
Right.
Then goes to replay, which I don't think they're allowed to have replay. He goes to replay like it's fucking MLB.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, those aren't illegal, but I stopped the fight. Fight's over.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, no, first he said 5 minutes. You got 5 minutes.
Yeah, he gave Chris 5 minutes.
You got 5 minutes, and then he kept asking how much time's left. It's like, okay, I thought there was no replays, first of all.
Yeah.
And then I sent Joe the rule. I don't know. The rules changed a million times, but it said like even if your fingertips are on the canvas, that's not. You have to be weight bearing.
Palms, yeah.
Weight or fist.
Yes.
But weight bearing.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I read.
Okay.
And they even had a quote in there by Dan saying, "Oh, this is great. This is going to make my job a lot easier." And then he was
Dan
involved.
Margiotta, who's the
Right.
the ref.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's just like, I mean, you should be able to tell. I mean, Joe said, well, he was blocked from the view.
Well, he was lit when he went to knee. He kind of pulled him up.
He did,
and drove his knee in there, so it was 100% legal. Both knees were legal.
But if you go with the weight bearing, there was no weight bearing ever.
Zero.
There was just fingers grazing. Yeah. I mean, it was just like, was this, or even the other hand. Mm-hmm. So it was just like there's never weight bearing involved at all.
The thing, the shame with all this is, would have Mousasi have won the fight? It was kind of looking that way a little bit, but Chris definitely won the first round with the takedowns.
Yep.
Yeah.
So who knows if he didn't finish that fight going to the third, if Chris gets a takedown, we don't know. What you can't do is predict a winner off that. Yeah. You can't say, oh, Mousasi won.
Right.
Moving on. Give him the big money payday.
Would you just
I'd have a rematch. I'd call it a draw.
Okay.
It's a hiccup. Really what they should have done is just give him 5 minutes, take everything out, and then make him fight. Literally just go
Well, would
back.
you start him in the same position? No, because that's a huge disadvantage to Mousasi in a way.
I know, but that's the blunder there. Like that's on the ref. Just start him back in their corners, let him fight, and continue. Yeah. But what you don't do
Very
is
strange.
just announce a winner because it's unfinished business. Chris is on a 3-fight losing streak now. Mousasi's contract's up. He wants Mark Hunt money, Yeah. And Dana goes, I don't think he deserves Mark Hunt money. So I don't know what they're going to do, man.
Well, and they were, Chris, I don't know what, it was weird because it almost looked, and I don't know him, but it almost looked like he was playing it up a little bit, thinking he could get the disqualification.
Yeah.
I mean, he took a knee and he's holding his head. And then when they said, oh no, they were legal, then all of a sudden he wasn't holding his head. It's like he was, okay, I'm good.
I don't know what to make of Weidman.
I was nervous.
It's heartbreaking because this was such an important fight for him. He won that first round, and then it looked like he was acting up a little bit, like really playing to the crowd. And then since you saw, and I'm not saying he's doing anything, and I'm not saying he's doing performance enhancing drugs, but since USADA has come along, he does not look the same. And I'm not saying because he's doing performance enhancing drugs. Maybe it's the IVs. Maybe it's something.
Yeah.
But he doesn't look like the same Weidman we saw beat Lyoto Machida or that we've seen before. And they are similar fight. He just doesn't look the same. His record would prove that.
Yeah, and I think that beating that Luke put on him.
Yeah.
I mean, those are hard to come back from. It seems like from what I don't fight. Obviously,
he had a neck injury.
But watching that, I mean, because remember they didn't. I think they should have stopped that the round before when Luke was
in
beat.
Mount.
Yeah, and just crushing him.
Fair.
And then he took a whole nother however many minutes of beating the next round. And it's just like these guys seem like they're easier to knock out after something like that.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, but then also remember Chris's last fight before this one, Yoel Romero. He's doing well. Most people have him win the fight. Then he gets that flying Cuban missile to the face, the knee from Yoel Romero.
Those take a huge toll.
That, it's going to catch up with him.
Right. Right.
It's just hard. It's just heartbreaking.
He did look great though the first round. He
had some good takedowns. I mean, he couldn't hold Mousasi down, but
no,
he won the first round. But with Chris, I don't know if the UFC does a rematch. And then you got to remember, Mousasi is in contract negotiations.
Right.
I'd be willing to imagine Bellator's going to throw some huge money Mousasi's way, give him a title shot right away. At 85, Mousasi has a tough road, and I don't. Dana goes, I'm a fan of his, but there's no way he deserves Mark Hunt money. And then you see Mousasi going, I get it. They say I'm not marketable. How am I not marketable? Well, if you have to ask that question, you're not marketable.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, and as great as Mousasi is, and he's fucking awesome, he's so, like, could you look like a little bit less like you just woke up from a nap? Including during your fight. It's amazing. He's a badass. I love it because he's just so relaxed and ridiculous. Sir, your posture's terrible when you show up, and you look bored.